Probably not a coincidence that Aaron Rodgers shaved off that beard that was starting to make him look like Willie Nelson. He's a lot more fresh-faced and youthful now at 37 as the Green Bay Packers quarterback. I'm exaggerating just a little bit. Not quite Willie Nelson, but it definitely made him look a little grizzled and haggard, Peter. Looks good now with the cleaner face, and happy birthday, Aaron Rodgers. Your birthday present is a bad Eagles team, not nearly the Eagles team that went into Lambeau Field on a Thursday night last season and beat the Green Bay Packers. So, speed round time. Let's start with that game. 3-7-1 Eagles, 8-3 Packers. Eagles' best chance at upsetting the Packers is what, Peter?
Spotting Jalen Hurts in the lineup, throwing change-up pitches against the Green Bay defense, and basically playing every game the rest of the way like it's a fire drill. And I've heard it said this week, oh, boy, you don't want to hurt Carson Wentz's confidence even more. Well, my reaction to that is I'd like Carson Wentz to start playing great football. He's not doing that right now. This is not a time where you put your arm around Carson Wentz and say, you're our quarterback till the end of time. This is a time when you put your arm around Carson Wentz and saying, we have to do what's best for the team to win this game. You need to understand. And there's got to be some tough love right now. I hope Doug Peterson does it.
Yeah, I agree with you. The best chance for the Eagles is to quit waiting for Carson Wentz, who's groping through the dark for the light switch, to find it. He can't find it. So you have to come up with something else. And Doug Peterson, the head coach, acknowledged on Thursday, or at least it's been reported. He hasn't acknowledged, it's been reported that he's given up some of the play calling obligations. They got to shake things up. We've seen them the past couple of years find the gas pedal late in the season. They were 5-7 last year. They won their Final Four, and they won the division. So they roughly know the formula when the right level of urgency is applied, and maybe that'll happen this week. I doubt it, but maybe it will. Giants 4-7 at the 8-3 Seahawks. The Giants' best chance of upsetting Seattle in their own building is what, Peter?
I think forcing 3 turnovers, Mike. I don't see them being able to play this game on equal footing. But what I do see them able to do is being able to pressure Russell Wilson, hem him in, and really bother him. They are going to have. This is going to have to be a turnover game for the Giants to have a good chance.
Yeah, keep it close. Find a way to keep it close. Kind of that plodding effort that we saw from the Eagles for a lot of last week's game until the Seahawks began to pull away. But just do everything you can. Shorten the game, have long possessions on offense. Hope that Daniel Jones can find a way to play. That would be a big part of it as well. Broncos 4-7 at the 10-1 Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and company in primetime on Sunday Night Football. The good news for the Broncos is they will have quarterbacks in this game. Even with a real quarterback under center, the best chance of scoring the upset is what, Peter?
I mean, I don't know, Mike. I'd like to. You probably have to say just what we just said about the Giants. You know, this has got to be a turnover fest, in my opinion, for Denver to have a chance. I just haven't seen it in Drew Lock. Now, maybe you say, okay, Drew Lock's going home. Drew Lock's got a lot to prove after the embarrassment of last week. He's not going to be able to play head-to-head with Patrick Mahomes. You know, for the Broncos to win this game, they've got to have, in my opinion, they've got to have a significant turnover advantage.
Yeah, don't single cover Tyreek Hill. That would be job number one. But also, the thing about the Chiefs, because every week they are playing a team that is coming after them aggressively, that knows that this is a big game for them. It's a measuring stick game for them. And some games we see that focus slip for the Kansas City Chiefs. Hell, it slipped after they were up 17-0 against the Buccaneers on Sunday. That's the one big flaw with the Chiefs. They still find a way to overcome more often than not, but they do lose focus. They lose their edge. They lose their magic, and they seem to be better when they're playing a great team. So you just hope that this is going to be a week where maybe they're sleepwalking a little bit, and maybe you can catch them flat-footed and turn it into a game like the Raiders did. But you got to be able to score points too, because even on a down day when they lose, they're still good for 30 points, Peter.
Yeah, and I think that's why you have to really try to force the turnovers. And you talked about it with Tyreek Hill. Study the Patriots tape from the AFC Championship game, 3 years ago. Study that tape and see if that tape shows you, or 2 years ago, see if that tape shows you the differences in coverage that you have to put on Tyreek Hill, which is, to me, Justin Simmons over the top on Tyreek Hill almost every snap.
And look, teams in your division tend to play you a little more aggressively, a little more tough than the teams you don't play all the time. They play them twice a year. They face them out in Denver. One of the first games where we really noticed Patrick Mahomes in 2018, he was down 10 points in the fourth quarter against the Denver Broncos. So, they've got a team, despite their record, that has some capable players, and Vic Fangio, a capable coach. And when he has a quarterback, maybe he can put together a defense that can slow down Patrick Mahomes and company just enough so their offense can score the points necessary. Colts and Texans get together for the first time this year. Texans have been trending in the right direction, winning a couple in a row, beating the Patriots, embarrassing the Lions on Thanksgiving. Deshaun Watson, if he was with a team that was a playoff contender, would be potentially an MVP candidate. Here come the Colts, up and down at 7-4, the confounding loss at home to the Titans, a team they had beaten a couple of weeks earlier. Do you have more faith in a humbled Colts defense bouncing back, or Deshaun Watson extending his current run of greatness to 4 wins in 5 opportunities, Peter?
In my opinion, Mike, I have more faith. This is a game that I look at that I think is trouble for the Indianapolis Colts. Not that I would sit here and say, take the mortgage money and put it on Houston. I don't necessarily feel that strongly about it. I just know that since Bill O'Brien walked out the door, I did this in my column this week. If you compare Deshaun Watson to probably the 2 best quarterbacks playing right now, other than him, Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, and Russell Wilson as well. But if you compare him to Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes right now, in the last 7 weeks, he is on a par with both of them, and he's got a better passer rating than both of them. He's been more accurate than both of them. And so to me, I think this is the sign of a quarterback playing with extreme confidence, who's been playing with a little bit of one hand tied behind his back because of injuries at times. But to me, I think coming off the 10 days of rest after Thanksgiving, this is, I think, a real pothole game for the Indianapolis Colts.
Deshaun Watson's odds, according to PointsBet, for MVP are at plus 10,000. That means bet 100, win $10,000 if he's the MVP. And the team's not going to do well enough for him to get into the MVP conversation. But he is on the fringes there, equal with Tom Brady and equal with Tyreek Hill at plus 10,000 odds. Let's see what happens. They keep winning, and he keeps being the one-man band, especially now that Will Fuller is gone for the rest of the year. They've released Kenny Stills. He doesn't have the help around him. David Johnson's been gone. He may be back sooner rather than later. But if they can just keep going, and some of these other teams are fading, you never know. I don't know that 9-7 gets you in, and I don't know that they have a realistic chance at getting to 9-7. But it's just exciting to see Deshaun Watson standing out, and it makes that job very intriguing because there's going to be a very happy coach.
Makes that job the
January.
Most intriguing. Yeah, you're
absolutely
right, Mike. That job now, all of a sudden, somebody asked me yesterday, "What's the best job out there?" And I said, "Look, I understand the cap is not great. I understand." You're missing 3 very high draft choices in the next 2 years. I get it. My issue is, what does every coach, what does every general manager, what do they want to do when they start a team or when they take a job? They want to have a great quarterback on the roster. You can figure out everything else. And that's exactly the way I would feel. If I were Eric Bieniemy right now, or you name the coach right now, who's the most desirable coach? Robert Saleh, you name him. Josh McDaniels, I don't know who it is, but you name him. Maybe even Brendan Staley, who's my upset pick with the Los Angeles Rams defensive coordinator. Whoever it is, if I'm that guy, I want, even with all the front office mayhem, that's the job I want.
Yeah, and that's one thing I would want to know, and I don't want to make this gratuitous, but if I was a candidate for the GM or the head coaching job in Houston, I would want to know, where does Jack Easterby fit in my line of reporting to the owner of the team? Do I report to Easterby? Is he floating around as kind of an unofficial supervisor? I want to know how this culture that he's creating affects my job and my ability to put together the most successful team that I possibly can. The Raiders and the Jets get together. Last year, the Raiders lost 34-3 to the Jets. This year, the Raiders are 6-5, reeling after the 43-6 loss to the Falcons. Jets just looking for one win, unless they don't want to win and want Trevor Lawrence. But could we see for the second straight week and the second straight year the Raiders embarrassed by a lesser team?
I mean, anything is possible in the NFL, but to me, this is a significantly different Jets team with a lot less fight than it had a year ago. You know, it seemed like last year on defense, Greg Williams' defense was backyard brawlers, and when Jamal Adams was right, this was a defense that was in the teens in the NFL in terms of a tough defense to face. It isn't that right now. And do you trust anybody on offense? They have a good receiving core right now that is back, that is better than it has been. But do you trust anybody on offense to make enough plays to beat the Raiders? I don't. And again, that was a shock last week when they got blown out in Atlanta. I just can't see them losing to the Jets on the road in a week that John Gruden, I am positive, has made it miserable to be a Las Vegas Raider.
Yeah, and I think to a certain extent the loss to the Falcons is a disqualifying moment for the Raiders that should keep them out of the postseason. If they lose to the Jets and fall to 6-6 and have back-to-back losses to losing teams, especially the Jets, they're done. It's over. Maybe the Texans do have a path to the postseason because you can kick the Raiders to the curb. Before we take a break here, because we've got the Show Me Something draft coming up, the NFL has announced the Players of the Month. I just want to run through them real quickly. No big surprises. Patrick Mahomes, the AFC Offensive Player of the Month. Dalvin Cook of the Vikings, the NFC Offensive Player of the Month. TJ Watt, it could have been JJ. TJ Watt, the Defensive Player of the Month in the AFC. Cameron Jordan, Defensive Player of the Month in the NFC. And Rookies of the Month. Offensive, Justin Herbert. Defensive, Jeremy Chin. First guy since 1948 to have multiple fumble returns for a touchdown in the same game.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.